Priča počinje sa jednim od najvećih rock bendova 90-ih, Fate No More, i basistom tog benda pod imenom Bill Gould. Na koncerte smo tada išli u Budimpeštu i u nekom trenutku se na njegovom putu našla flaša rakije. Loše rakije, one koje bi klinci poneli na koncert u Budimpeštu. Ali se ime pića zakačilo negde za kaiš gitare i jaki ukus nekog nepoznatog pića ostaje u sećanju. Bill je počeo da dolazi na Balkan i posećuje Srbiju sve češće, inkognito ili pod reflektorima, upoznajući kulturu i ljude i nakon slanine i prebranca probajući sve bolju i bolju rakiju. Dok nije odlučio da se udruži sa par iskusnih praktičara ove umetnosti i napravi Yebiga rakiju, spremnu da osvoji svet. I to počevši sa ogromnim skokom u dalj, iz sela pored Kraljeva sve do San Franciska, tražeći svoj put kući nazad ka istoku i obogaćujući živote uz put. Imali smo priliku da popričamo sa Billom o njegovom iskustvu sa rakijom i ako bismo lagano mogli 3 sata da razglabamo od muzike 90-ih pa sve do njegove saradnje sa Dubiozom kolektiv i da sve to začinimo srpskim roštiljem, pivom i šljivovicom, pokušali smo da u 20 minuta saznamo šta je to inspirisalo Billa da iznova dolazi da proba prebranac i da konačno eksportuje deo našeg spirita u njegove rodne krajeve.
First of all, thank you, Bill. It is very nice of you to have time for us.
Absolutely.
It is, it's about a small film show in Stuttgart, and I think everybody will be happy to see this story and to see you in this interview. So thank you very much for this. And the only thing I would like to say at this moment is we would like to send you this small T-shirt as a present from our film show. So later on, it will be on its way to USA.
Well, I would like to be able to send you this as well. It's just going to take a little bit of time because I'm doing everything myself, and the States is a big place.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I mean, we have 50 states here, and every state in this country has its own different laws on alcohol. So I have to get a license for every single state just to get distribution here.
Yeah. But you start with California, no?
Yeah, we did. Exactly. And that's big. That's 30 million people. Yeah. I mean, that's, and there are a lot of Balkan people here, but there's a lot of people who have no idea what Rakija is here as well. Yeah. And that's the challenge, actually.
Yeah. That's your mission.
It is, actually. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Well, allow me to just start with, the obvious question, but there are people in the audience probably that don't know what this is about. So just tell in a few words, how did all this Rakija thing start? And I read that the first encounter you had was in the 90s in Budapest, but how did it progress from there? How does the broader legend start with a trip to Serbia, maybe? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rakija in the beginning was kids bringing it to our show in Budapest, and it wasn't very good, but it was different. It was different tasting, and I remembered the name. So we played Slovenia after that, and I had some more, and it was a little better. That made me really interested in kind of learning more about the country. So I came to Belgrade, and I came through like Kosovo and Macedonia and Bosnia around in the mid-90s. And I stayed with people, stayed at their houses, and I had some really good Rakijas. And that's where I first really connected with this is something very good, something very special. And what would happen is I would come home back to California and go, wow, I would really like to have some Rakija right now. And I just couldn't find it. And there were some Slivovitz, like Maraska or something like that. It's not the same. It's not even close to the same. So, it was kind of this thing where if I knew somebody coming back from there, I'd ask them, bring me a Rakija, please. Or, I would go there and I would just get as much Rakija in my suitcase as I can. And, there's always a tragedy where one breaks and it goes all over my clothes. And also that's Rakija is gone, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, going 20 years later, because I've been going to the Balkans for 25 years, and it's just something that, normal thing. I just realized people in San Francisco, we have all these people that make wine, and they know all about cocktails and beer, and they just nobody knew what Rakija was. And I went out to Serbia, and I realized that Serbia was changing too. people are starting to respect. It's not just something you have in your family. Like they're actually appreciating it like a real spirit. They're starting to, think about what plums are used and how their distillation's getting better. And they're actually looking at this and starting to treat it. It's still a folk art and it's still traditional, but with a little more respect. And that's what made me kind of think, I think that this is getting to a point now where it's maturing enough. I can try to translate this back in the States and turn some people onto it. The other thing is, to be honest, Americans just think they know everything. Everything comes to them. They're very spoiled, and I want to show them something that they didn't know, and I want to rub their face in it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It's really, everybody, it's funny how it is here, but there's this kind of mindset that you have that gets reinforced, and we're geographically kind of far away from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rocky would give people a different perspective on that part of the world, and I think it's important to have that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you were lucky because you were traveling a lot because you were a musician, so you got to experience a lot of.
I got the benefit. Correct.
A lot of Americans don't get to do, I
Yes.
guess, and that's why. And as you said, you're just separated as a continent, so I guess that's influencing.
I hadn't have done it, I wouldn't have known either, to be honest. And I'm really glad I did. But what I can definitely, I believe that I can bring that experience, and even in something like a spirit, if it has the soul of the spirit, like you guys grew up with, what it is when you taste it, right?
Of course, yeah.
If I could, there's something that comes through. It's not just drinking the spirit. There's a feeling that comes with it, and it makes you a connection to the place.
I mean, when people go to Serbia, they mostly go to Belgrade. That's where you went for the first time, I'm guessing, like in 1996. But as far as I know, your rakia is not made in Belgrade. So you can maybe tell people where your rakia is made and how did you find your way down there?
Well, I've toured with a lot of bands through Serbia, so we've stayed all over. But I met people who have a farm near Kraljevo in Goch Mountain. And they've been making it, let's put it this way, the grandmother was born on the same farm and made rakia there. And this must be 1900 or something. So the family goes back, God knows how far back. And so they know their plums. They know that the wood comes for the barrels comes from that mountain. And this is like part of, and these plums, they're Chachanska Rodna, which means they're coming from this region in Kraljevo. What I wanted to do, it's not just making a taste of plums and bringing it to the States as rakia. I wanted it to be the rakia that people have in their families, a real one from the farm, not something you make in a factory. And that's really important. And this part of Serbia there's some amazing stuff coming out of there.
And you mentioned the wooden barrels. Like, I'm not that familiar with the process. Is that a common thing or a more rare thing to keep rakia in wooden barrels?
I think in Serbia it's done more. When you get more north, you get more stainless steel, the clear kind of slivovica. I like the barrel personally, and we're going to have a clear one as well. Because the thing about the barrel, which is good, is it kind of, you can just sip it just straight, neat, room temperature.
Yeah.
The clear one is good because you can mix it with other things. I wouldn't want to mix one from the barrel. I wouldn't want to add any, tonic water or something. I think you would destroy it.
Has too much flavor on its own, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to have that flavor disappear.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you don't have some industrial setup, right? More like this.
No, this is it's a farm, really, literally a farm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an architect. I don't have so much rakia making experience, except of witnessing that in people's yards while I was growing up.
Right.
And so I only know this very basic process of distillation, the steam pipe, the cooling station. But how deep did you yourself go into the chemistry of it? Like, did you stay more on the business side, or did you actually dig more into the process?
Oh, you're asking a musician to talk about chemistry.
Yeah.
So already that's a bad thing. No, but I talked to the guys who make it. I mean, like the last time I was in Serbia, I stayed on the farm and, we talked for 72 hours, probably just about process. And I mean, they've educated me a lot. There's a blog in Serbia called Rakija Uglavnom. And these are the guys really that convinced me to do this, because I realized that they were taking Rakija seriously, and they're brilliant guys. I went to their lecture in Belgrade, and they blew my mind. They did a lecture on Dunya, and they had 5 Dunya, and just kind of spoke about it and how they were different, and just so knowledgeable. So I am like a sponge. Like, I try to hang out. I've gone to a couple distilleries with them. They've blown my mind completely.
So you are trying to learn more about the process and the chemistry of it.
I mean, yes, absolutely, because it's deep. It's a folk art, right? But you know, this goes back to the 11th century. So there's a refinement, even though it looks simple and it looks primitive in some ways. There's a lot of knowledge that's very, very deep, very refined.
Yeah,
and I think I could learn about it the rest of my life. I really could. One of the main reasons I'm doing this is because I want to bring something that's like a real cultural thing, you know, and bring it into where somebody can buy it in the store and not just have to have a friend of a friend, you know, get it from the priest or something.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you scale up too fast, of course, you can destroy the product.
You can't do that. Not for this one. You can't do that. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating. You know, it is a little bit frustrating because I want everybody to have it. And people are always like, come on, what's the matter? And it's like, you can't rush this thing. You know, it just has to be.
On the other side, it's great that they're asking. That means there's a future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. But is it technically like hard to import this kind of drink in the USA? I'm guessing states there are certain standards you have to comply with that are probably not necessary in Serbia. So is that really?
No, absolutely. Well, we had this problem back in the 1920s. We had this prohibition here, right? Which, give you a little bit of American history. You know, alcohol was illegal for a while, and when they went to make it legal finally, one of the reasons they got it to become legal was they made a deal with the public, like, we're going to make it legal, but don't be afraid. To the abolitionist people, we're going to make it so hard to deal with alcohol that they're not going to want to do it. It's going to be legal, but nobody's going to want to sell alcohol. You're going to make it so painful for them. And that's basically the spirit on how the United States runs now. They make it very hard. So the importing is very hard. It's a big bureaucratic process that takes a lot of time. There's a lot of paperwork you have to do. I mean, every month now I've got to fill out, you know, all my like taxes. It's like doing taxes every month for each state. So this is only for California and Illinois right now. Yeah. You know, we're going to go to Maryland, so we got to get a license for there. Then we're going to go to Florida. We got to get a license for there, and you have to do the same thing in all these states. It's a nightmare. But that's the business, right?
Yeah. Well, how about let's get out of this bureaucratic stuff now a little bit. How about the marketing strategy? I mean, I was pleasantly surprised by the, let's say, originality of the website and a bit of the black humor. You know, so what was the inspiration? Like, did you come up with it yourself? Do you have like a marketing?
I did. It's all me. No marketing, nothing. No. I had some artwork help, graphic. My friend Vedran, who plays in the band Dubiosa Collective.
Oh, yeah.
He helped me design the site. But yeah, my idea was, I thought about how I first came in contact with Rakija and what did I get when I first heard it the first time. And everybody who gave it to me always had black humor. I mean, they're just telling Rakija jokes. They're cleaning the toilet with it, whatever the hell they're doing. You know, they're putting it in their car. You know, if they run out of gas, and so there was this humor about Rakija and this black humor. And I was seeing, like, even in Serbia, people that make really fine Rakijas, like that I really respect. There's a bit of their marketing where it was always like a cognac. They're always trying to make it look like this nice thing that kind of, I'm not seeing the humor in that, right? And I'm like, that's not the Rakija. That's not speaking to me like I know Rakija. Like, I want this, like the Rakija when I'm in somebody's house and we're talking shit, you know? It's a people's drink, you know? It's and you can share, and Baba can be sitting at the table and she's telling some dirty joke, you know, like it's a people's thing. So I wanted that feeling to come with the Rakija in the States. And to be honest, one more thing actually about the black humor and about a little bit of the greatest, Americans have this view of themselves like cowboys, right? I think maybe we were once a long time ago, but whiskey culture, rebel culture, you know, shooting guns, and it's like, they have no idea. Like, this is rebel culture. Rakija is rebel culture for real, you know. I think Americans will understand that, and I think they could learn something from that.
I think
I think with the name Yebiga, you hit really the essence of what you said exactly right now.
yeah. Yeah,
This
and I
word
hope so.
really describes the whole story.
yeah.
Yebiga. This is two guys sitting around, and they are friends, and everything goes down, and still they are optimistic and say, "Yebiga, the life goes on. The show
Right.
must go on."
Right.
Something like that.
And actually, because it's an umrelica on the cover, right, the label, it is life goes on. That's the deal. Live today.
I know you have been asked before, but staying on the subject, I mean, the grandma
Yeah.
on the image, Baba Ljubica, where did
Yeah.
that idea come from?
So this is kind of interesting, actually. It's an interesting story. She, I saw her picture. I just saw it on the internet, and I go, oh my God. I hadn't really decided I wanted to do Rakija yet, but I saw her picture, and I'm like, if I ever do Rakija, that's my label. Like that says everything to me. And when I decided to do it, I looked and I found the photo, and she had died, so we couldn't use the photo, and we couldn't track it down. So I wanted that picture, and we had a thing in Sarajevo. We tried to get some actors to take pictures. And it wasn't the same, you know. This is women, and nobody wanted to be on an obituary anyway. They were called Yebiga. They was like, no. So we found them finally, and it turns out that this woman was an amazing woman, and it couldn't have been a better person, because she made Rakija till she's about 98, and she was a complete purist. She was all about only natural fruits, only do everything natural. And in fact, outside of her house, it says, a world without clean nature is a worthless world. And so that actually was very forward thinking for her time. And I went to her house actually a few months ago, and I stayed with her family. And it's amazing. It's an amazing place. She was an amazing person.
That's the part of that black humor, that there is always a serious underlying note.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah. That's why it's so captivating sometimes. Yeah.
You have to take your humor very seriously. I mean, what really shocked me the first time, and now I'm really used to it and I really enjoy it, but it took me by surprise, is the directness of the communication. Is very, if you say no, you say no, right? Americans never say no. They're like, nobody wants to offend anybody here. So I was amazed by the honesty of how people would talk to me. And I felt good. Like, I would rather know if I walk in a room that somebody doesn't like me, I'm fine with that, because I just stay away from that guy. And you have this thing in the States where you really never know where you stand with people. So there was a certain thing that really actually, when I got to Serbia, I kind of relaxed. I mean, in some ways people can be more stubborn about things and more difficult, but I appreciate it.
What I wanted to say is, at the beginning, you were talking about the spirit of the drink. And that's actually, I told you I'm going to get back to it, because I myself, for example, I enjoy a glass of a single malt, Scotch sometimes, very much. And it kind of takes me emotionally back to the Highlands,
Exactly.
So it might be just a weird question, but if you try to imagine entire cultures and drinks related to them, like Japan and sake, or Mexico and tequila, or Russia and vodka. So what would you say would be an American drink? Would it be like a bourbon or something? And in that sense, how do you see the connection with the culture and the drinks? Does it actually represent something deeper, or is it superficial? Like, do you see the connection with this main drink that you have and the culture itself? Because we kind of touched on it before.
I do. To be honest, I'm not a bourbon drinker, but I've had some good bourbons where there is something there, definitely. And, being in California with the wines, a California wine is a California wine. But America is a new world, and it always feels like the new world. There's always something light to me. It doesn't have the centuries behind it. I can feel it somehow. Like, I like Mexican food because actually it's indigenous food. It goes back thousands of years, and I can feel that. And there's something about the States, if I have a prebranec, for example, right? That's just old food, man. It just gives you a feeling that you don't find that in the States. You just don't get that. Slanina, slanina. You don't get that in the States. So
yeah.
I think that there is whiskey culture. There's really some great stuff that comes from here. Scots for sure, but yes, I mean in Serbia, I've gone to some distilleries where they don't make a lot of stuff. It's 20 years in the barrel of a family thing, and you could never really sell it commercially because they don't make enough of it. It's really just special, but it takes you to a different place. There's just no doubt about it.
Ernest Hemingway said, like, write drunk, edit sober. Do you think that alcohol, like and other substances, help human creativity generally when consumed responsibly? Because you're an artist and come from that world. So I'm interested in.
I do. I don't see. I mean, obviously, people can have problems with it if they don't use it correctly, but I don't see alcohol as any different as having a car. It improves the quality of your life if you use it for what it's, just responsibly.
Rakija has some power within it, and it's actually
it does. It has its own energy. It really does. There's like a spirit in Rakija somehow, and it maybe has to do with the yeast that comes in Serbia. I don't know. I'd be really curious to see if we ever find out what that is. But there is a spirit that's unique.
Yeah, it's not the same if you drink a couple of glasses of whiskey or a couple of glasses of Rakija. It's a completely different mood and a feeling and a spirit.
That's right.
Let me ask you: do you still have some Trabant in the garage? Or are you driving something?
They all died. I had two of them. They both died. One of them died. I left him in Montenegro in Bar. It wasn't going in reverse anymore. It wasn't going into first gear, and I just took the license plates off and left it in a parking lot. But it lasted a long time. One bad thing I can say about these Trabants, they really suck up a lot of gas. It was so expensive. I drove from Berlin to Montenegro, and it cost. I should have just rented a Mercedes. It would have been cheaper.
You should try some of the Serbian cars there.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Okay, so as you know, we will show this at our cool festival in Stuttgart, Serbian Film Festival. So I'm going to give you the regards from the entire Filmanak crew, and maybe ask you if you have some message for the audience in Stuttgart, in Germany. I mean, for all those Serbs that live outside of Serbia.
What I can say for all my friends in Stuttgart is I hope this Yebiga gets there soon.
Yeah.
And I'm working on it. But other than that, don't lose your culture. You have a beautiful culture. Don't let the politics get you depressed. Always remember that you have a very good human culture.
That's a very nice message. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Can you get good Chivapi in Stuttgart?
Of course, we will organize.
Burek? Good Burek?
Yeah.
Burek, yes, there is also.
Is a
Burek,
place
yes.
good? A good one?
And
We will see. We will organize something good.
We'll find out.
We will find out.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bill.
All right.
Have
Stay
a
in
nice
touch.
day.
Okay.
Stay in touch. Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.